The Czech Republic was formed on January 1st, 1993 after World War I and the collapse of Czechoslovakia. The Czech Republic now has a population of 10.65 million, with 1.3 million living in the nation's capital, Prague. Czech is the only official language of the Czech Republic and is spoken by about 96% of the population. Besides this, other languages that can be heard here are usually German, Polish, or any other language of Slavic descent. Romanesque art played an important role in Czech culture from the year 1100 to the start of the 13th century. Book painting enjoyed a great popularity. The most exquisite art, which cannot be compared with anything else from this period in Central Europe, is the Visegrad Codex. Besides numerous initials and scenes from the Old Testament, it also contains up to 30 pictures from the New Testament. Sports have a very long tradition in the Czech lands, their beginnings dating in the 14th century, under the reign of the Luxembourg family. This is when the popularity of the various knights tournaments began, which we can all attribute to being the predecessor of sporting tournaments today. So a lot of the holidays that we can find in Czech culture are actually found in our society here today. Similar to the Irish St. Patrick's Day, the Czech's St. Joseph's Day is more subdued, and is celebrated around the same time in March each year. One of the most common Czech male names is Joseph, and has been the case for many years. Many villages in early Czech culture had to have at least one person in each house named Joseph. Of course, there are other male names in modern times that have taken over in popularity, but there are still over 260,000 Czech men named Joseph today. St. Joseph's Day is celebrated across the country and televised on Czech Media Day each year. In the years before 1989, the celebrations of Easter were limited to merely the welcoming of spring. The religious meanings behind Easter were suppressed under the communist regime. Today, modern Czechs are strongly gaining awareness to the Christian meaning behind Easter, although Easter has not become a serious religious holiday. Many villages observe their own special set of Easter customs and traditions, and Easter is one of the most joyful holidays in the Czech nation. And one of, if not the biggest holiday in Czech culture is Christmas Eve. For many Czechs, Christmas Eve is the most pleasurable day of the year. Even the poorest families would traditionally make sure that their homes were filled with food on this day. Traditional Czech Christmas ornaments decorate the houses and trees in preparation for the most festive day of the year. The Czechs even have a character similar to Santa Claus. His name is Svatý Mikuláš, or Saint Nicholas. And the tradition of Santa Claus in Czech culture is pretty much the same. After all the good kids go to sleep, Svatý Mikuláš brings presents for the children to wake up to in the morning. Out of all the states in the United States, Czechs actually had the biggest influence in Texas. Czechs first settled in Texas in the 1840s, traveling from mostly Bohemia. Like the Germans, they sought to improve their economic situation. Chiefly famine, disease, poverty, and unemployment pushed the Czechs to immigrate. Over the course of the centuries, Czech cuisine has been exposed to influences from its neighboring countries. As a result, the Austrian, Hungarian, Czech, and German cuisines feature a number of common dishes. At one time, dumplings formed the basic component of Czech fare, as they were served with a variety of tasty sauces to satisfy the hunger of hard-working peasants who only enjoyed meat during the holidays. In addition, Czech creativity has contributed to the development of a variety of dishes prepared from potatoes. The dietary habits of the Czechs did not differ largely from the inhabitants of other European countries. The day begins with breakfast consisting of coffee and tea, bread, morning rolls with butter, jam, honey, and usually accompanied with cold meat, sliced ham or salami, and eggs. Breakfast is usually followed by mid-morning snacks consisting of warm or cold smoked meat, hot soup, or a homemade sandwich. Lunch, which is generally served around noon, consists of soup, a main course, and a dessert. However, dessert is gradually being replaced by fruits or salads. The trend is for Czech people to take their midday meals into restaurants or fast food establishments, especially in cities where fast food places are very prominent. Dinner mostly consists of pork or beef with a sauce and a side dish, most common being dumplings. Goulash is a popular choice on the menu of the majority of local restaurants. Having originated in Hungary, the goulash has acquired a special place in the hearts of the Czech people. Czech culture can most commonly be found in our society through food. Many donut shops and pastry shops sell kolaches, which is a type of pastry that holds a portion of fruit surrounded by a puffy dough. And the other common food that can be found here is klobásnik, which is the very same dough filled with sausage and cheese. Many Texans refer to these as sausage and cheese kolaches, but they're actually known in Czech culture as klobásnik. Many people in America actually have genetics that are linked to the Czech Republic. The Czech Republic has a history of slavery dating back to when the nation was still known as Czechoslovakia. And with that came the spread of Czech DNA. Since so many Czechs have immigrated to the United States, and their genes spread throughout Europe, more than likely if you have European genes in your DNA, then there's a pretty good chance you're part Czech. And while there aren't many true Czechs left in our society today, many of them end up running the same donut shops that you enjoy. A lot of these are usually family owned, but this doesn't mean that there aren't many Czechs in our society anymore. Like I said before, a lot of us probably have Czech genes in our DNA, including myself. And while I don't personally celebrate any of these Czech traditions, I still like to do my research and remind myself where I came from.